See you, finger hovering over that skip button. Because you've heard it all before, right? Another video promising to change your life. Another expert telling you what you need to do differently. But here's the thing, and I really need you to stick with me for just 60 seconds. The reason you're about to skip this is exactly the reason you need to watch it. Think about it. When was the last time you actually finished something you started? When was the last time you didn't bail on yourself halfway through? That impulse you're feeling right now, that's not just about this video. It's the same pattern playing out in every area of your life. And I get it, because I understand what's really happening in your brain right now. And more importantly, I know how to fix it. You're tired of false promises, exhausted from trying and failing, skeptical because nothing has worked before. I'm not going to stand here and tell you that change is easy, or that you just need to believe in yourself, or that one simple trick will fix everything. What I am going to do is show you exactly why you keep ending up back where you started, what's happening in your brain when you quit, and the specific science-backed system that actually creates lasting change. Not motivation that fades by Tuesday, not willpower that runs out by dinner time. Real, sustainable transformation. But first, you need to understand something crucial about yourself. Let me paint a picture, and you tell me if this sounds familiar. You start something with genuine motivation. Maybe it's a new workout routine, a business idea, learning a skill, fixing a relationship, or just trying to be more consistent with the basics. You're excited. You can see the future version of yourself so clearly confident, successful, together, finally living up to your potential. The first day feels good. You're doing it. You're finally changing. Day 2, you push through, even though it's a bit harder. Still good though. You've got this. By day 3 or 4, something shifts. The initial excitement has worn off. It's not fun anymore. It's just work. You're tired. You've had a long day. That voice in your head starts up. Maybe I'll just skip today. I'll do extra tomorrow. But you push through anyway because you're determined this time will be different. Then comes the real test. Maybe it's day 5, maybe it's week 2. Life throws something at you. A bad day at work. A fight with someone you care about. You don't sleep well. You're stressed about money. Something derails you, and suddenly that thing you were doing consistently, you miss a day, and that's when the real pattern kicks in. Missing one day turns into 2. 2 turns into 3. Before you know it, a week has gone by and you haven't done the thing. And now there's this weight of guilt and shame sitting on your chest. You feel like a failure. Again. You tell yourself you'll start over Monday, or next month, or after the holidays, or when things calm down. But things never calm down, do they? Here's what you need to understand. This isn't a character flaw. This is neuroscience. Research from the University College London shows that our brains are literally wired to conserve energy and avoid discomfort. It's an evolutionary mechanism that kept our ancestors alive. Your brain's job isn't to make you happy or successful. It's to keep you safe and conserve energy. And change? Change is dangerous and energy-intensive as far as your brain is concerned. Dr. Wendy Wood's extensive studies on habit formation at the University of Southern California reveal that about 43% of our daily actions are done out of habit, which means your brain is running on autopilot for almost half your life. And when that autopilot is programmed with patterns of quitting, starting over, and self-sabotage, well, you can see the problem. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for willpower, decision-making, and impulse control, actually gets fatigued, just like a muscle. Studies published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology show that decision fatigue is real and measurable. Every decision you make throughout the day depletes this mental resource. By the time you get home from work, after making hundreds of decisions what to wear, what to eat, how to respond to that email, whether to speak up in that meeting, what to prioritize, you're running on fumes, which is exactly when you make the choices that derail everything. It's not weakness, it's biology. But here's where it gets even more complex, and this is crucial. Your brain has something called the negativity bias. Research from neuroscientist Dr. Rick Hansen shows that our brains are like Velcro for negative experiences and Teflon for positive ones. Your brain is designed to remember and weigh negative experiences more heavily than positive ones, another evolutionary survival mechanism. What this means practically is that your brain remembers every time you failed more vividly than every time you've succeeded. It's built a case file of evidence that says, change doesn't work for you. And every time you try and quit, you're adding another exhibit to that case file. But here's what most people don't tell you. Understanding this isn't enough. Knowing why you quit doesn't stop you from quitting. In fact, sometimes it makes it worse because now you have a scientific excuse for your behavior. What you need isn't just information. You need intervention. You need a complete rewiring of how your brain approaches change, consistency, and follow-through. You've been told you just need more discipline, more willpower, more motivation, more grit. That's not just unhelpful advice, it's actively destructive, and I'll tell you exactly why. Research from Stanford psychologist B.J. Fogg, who studied behavior change for over 20 years, shows that motivation is unreliable. It fluctuates constantly based on your mood, energy, circumstances, sleep, stress, and about 100 other variables you can't control. Building your entire strategy around staying motivated is like building a house on quicksand. It might hold for a minute, but the foundation is doomed from the start. The American Psychological Association's research on behavior change reveals something crucial. Willpower alone has a 95% failure rate for long-term change. 95%. Those aren't odds you want to bet your future on. And here's the kicker that nobody talks about. Every time you rely on willpower and fail, you're actually strengthening the neural pathways associated with failure. Neuroscientist Dr. Joe Dispenza's work on neuroplasticity shows that your brain literally becomes better at quitting because you've practiced it so many times. You've strengthened those neural connections through repetition. Think about it. You've probably tried to change the same things multiple times, right? Each time you quit, you're not just back at square one, you're actually in a worse position than before because you've reinforced the pattern. Your brain now has more evidence that you're someone who quits. The neural pathway for starting strong and fading out is now a superhighway in your brain, while the pathway for consistent follow-through is barely a dirt road. Dr. Carol Dweck's research on mindset adds another layer to this. She found that people who view their abilities as fixed, I'm just not a disciplined person, versus those who view them as developable, I can learn to be more consistent, have dramatically different outcomes. But here's the nuance. Even people with a growth mindset fail when they don't have the right systems in place. So if willpower and motivation aren't the answer, and mindset alone isn't enough, what is? The answer lies in understanding how your brain actually creates lasting change, and then designing a system that works with your neurology instead of against it. Let me share what actually works and why it works at a brain level. This isn't theory or motivation. This is hard neuroscience and behavioral psychology. First, your brain needs proof, not promises. MIT research on habit formation, led by neuroscientists studying the basal ganglia, the part of your brain that controls habits, shows that your brain creates a habit loop consisting of a cue, a P, routine, and a reward. But here's the critical part that most people miss. The reward has to be immediate and tangible for your brain to wire it in. This is why big, distant goals fail so spectacularly. Your brain can't connect today's discomfort with a reward that's months away. It's not wired to work that way. When you tell yourself, "I'm going to work out every day so I can lose 30 pounds by summer," your brain hears, "Experience pain now for a theoretical future benefit." That equation doesn't work for the limbic system, which operates on immediate cause and effect. The research shows that you need to create immediate micro-rewards for your brain to start building the habit loop. This could be as simple as checking a box, giving yourself a moment of acknowledgement, or pairing the behavior with something your brain already finds rewarding. But here's the deeper truth. Your brain is constantly collecting evidence about who you are. Every action is a vote for the type of person you're becoming. Miss the workout? That's a vote for being someone who doesn't exercise. Show up even when you don't feel like it? That's a vote for being someone who follows through. Second, identity beats behavior every time. Dr. James Clear's research on habit formation reveals something powerful. People who make lasting change don't just change what they do, they change who they believe they are. It's the difference between "I'm trying to quit smoking" and "I'm not a smoker." One is a behavior you're white-knuckling through, constantly fighting against your own identity. The other is an identity shift that makes the behavior automatic because it aligns with who you believe you are. Research from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology supports this. Studies show that identity-based habits are significantly more likely to stick than outcome-based habits. When your behavior is tied to your identity, you're not relying on motivation or willpower, you're simply acting in alignment with who you are. But here's where people get stuck. You can't just decide to have a new identity. You can't wake up tomorrow and say, "I'm now a disciplined person," when you have years of evidence to the contrary. Your brain won't believe you. Instead, you have to build evidence. Small, consistent actions that prove to your brain that you are becoming this new identity. Each tiny win is a piece of evidence. Over time, the evidence accumulates until your brain updates its belief about who you are. Third, your environment is controlling you. Studies from Duke University show that up to 45% of our behaviors are cued by our environment, not conscious choice. Which means, if your environment is set up to support your old patterns, your willpower doesn't stand a chance. Think about it. How's your desk set up? What's on your phone's home screen? What's in your fridge? Who are you spending time with? What's the first thing you see when you wake up? What's in your line of sight throughout the day? Every environmental cue is either pulling you toward the person you want to become or dragging you back to who you've always been. And here's the brutal truth. Most people's environments are perfectly designed to keep them exactly where they are. Research by Stanford's Dr. B.J. Fogg shows that behavior happens when motivation, ability, and a prompt all come together at the same moment. Your environment controls the prompts. If your environment is full of prompts for your old behaviors, junk food in the pantry, TV in the bedroom, phone notifications constantly pinging, you're fighting an uphill battle every single day. But when you design your environment intentionally removing prompts for bad behaviors and adding prompts for good ones, behavior change becomes dramatically easier. Fourth, there's the compound effect of micro-failures. Here's something most people don't realize. It's not the big failures that derail you. It's the accumulation of tiny inconsistencies. Research on what's called the "what the hell" effect shows that once people have a small slip-up, they tend to completely abandon their goals. Miss one workout, and suddenly you're not exercising at all. Eat one cookie, and the whole diet is blown. Dr. Kelly M.C. Gonigal's research on self-compassion and behavior change reveals something fascinating. People who treat themselves with kindness after slip-ups are significantly more likely to get back on track than those who beat themselves up. The guilt and shame actually make it harder to resume the behavior, not easier. Your brain interprets harsh self-criticism as a threat, which activates your stress response. which depletes the exact mental resources you need for self-control. It's a vicious cycle. Okay, enough theory. Let's talk about what you can do in the next 24 hours that will actually make a difference. These aren't generic tips. These are specific interventions based on the neuroscience we just discussed. First, make it stupidly simple. Whatever you're trying to do, and I mean whatever, scale it down to something so easy it feels almost ridiculous. Want to exercise? Don't commit to an hour at the gym. Commit to putting on your workout clothes. That's it. Want to write a book? Don't commit to writing a chapter. Commit to writing one sentence. Want to eat healthier? Don't overhaul your entire diet. Commit to drinking one glass of water before your coffee. Stanford research shows that tiny habits work because they bypass the resistance your brain puts up against big changes. You're not trying to force your brain to do something hard, you're tricking it into doing something easy, then building from there. The key is making the habit so small that you can't say no. If you can do it even on your worst day, even when you're exhausted, even when everything has gone wrong, then it's small enough. Ask yourself right now, what's the smallest version of the thing I keep quitting on? What's the version that would take less than 2 minutes and require almost no willpower? Write it down. Right now. Don't just think about it, actually write it down. This activates different neural pathways and makes it more likely you'll follow through. Second, track the system, not the outcome. Research from the Dominican University of California shows that people who track their progress are 76% more likely to achieve their goals. But here's the key that changes everything. Track the action, not the result. Don't track lost 2 pounds. Track went to the gym. Don't track finished the project. Track worked for 25 minutes. Don't track had a good day. Track did my morning routine. Your brain needs to see the wins now, not eventually. And the win isn't the outcome. The win is that you showed up, that you followed through, that you kept your promise to yourself. This is crucial because it shifts your focus from things you can't always control outcomes to things you can always control actions. You can't control whether you lose weight today, but you can control whether you make a healthy choice. You can't control whether your business is successful, but you can control whether you do the work. Do this today. Get a piece of paper or open a note on your phone. Write down the tiny action you're committing to. Then check it off when you do it. That's it. Just collect evidence that you're becoming the person who follows through. The visual of seeing those check marks accumulate is powerful. It's tangible proof that you're changing. Your brain loves tangible proof. Third, design your environment for success. Right now, and I mean right now, while you're watching this, look around you. What in your immediate environment is making it easy to quit and hard to keep going? Is your phone next to your bed, guaranteeing you'll waste the first hour of your morning scrolling? Is junk food in your pantry while your running shoes are buried in a closet? Is your workspace cluttered and chaotic, making it hard to focus? Are you surrounded by people who make you feel bad for trying to change? You don't need to overhaul your entire life, but you do need to make one strategic change that makes the right choice easier and the wrong choice harder. This is what James Clear calls choice architecture, designing your environment so that the default option is the one that serves you. Some examples. Put your phone in another room at night. Prep your workout clothes the night before and put them next to your bed. Delete social media apps from your phone, you can still access them on your computer. Keep healthy snacks at eye level and junk food out of sight, or better yet, out of the house. Set up your workspace before you go to bed so it's ready when you sit down. Surround yourself with visual reminders of who you're becoming. Your action. Pick one environmental change you'll make in the next hour. Just one. What's the single change that would make the biggest difference? Fourth, Prepare for the voice that shows up. Here's what nobody tells you. That voice that tells you to quit, it's going to show up. Tomorrow, next week, when things get hard, when you're tired, when you've had a bad day, it's coming. And if you're not prepared for it, it will win. Because in that moment, you'll be making a decision from a depleted state, and your brain will default to the path of least resistance, which is always going to be the old pattern. Research on cognitive behavioral therapy shows that the key isn't to eliminate negative thoughts, but to expect them and have a plan for when they arrive. It's called an implementation intention, a predetermined decision about what you'll do when a specific situation arises. Studies show that people who use implementation intentions are 2-3 times more likely to follow through on their goals. So right now, finish this sentence. When I feel like quitting, instead I will. Not some grand plan. Something simple. Take a 5-minute walk. Text my accountability partner. Remember why I started. Do just 2 minutes of the thing. Read my list of reasons this matters. Give yourself a script so when that moment comes, you're not making decisions from a place of weakness. You're following a plan you made when you were strong. 5th, reframe the discomfort. Here's a perspective shift that can change everything. The discomfort you feel when you want to quit? That's not a sign that something is wrong. That's a sign that something is working. Research from Stanford psychologist Dr. Aaliyah Crum shows that how you think about stress and discomfort dramatically affects how it impacts you. If you view discomfort as damage, your body responds with a threat response. If you view it as growth, your body responds with a challenge. Response: increased focus, better performance, faster recovery. The discomfort of change isn't your enemy. It's your brain's way of signaling that you're pushing past your comfort zone, which is the only place growth happens. Every time you feel that pull to quit, and you don't, you're literally rewiring your brain. You're weakening the neural pathway of quitting and strengthening the neural pathway of follow-through. But it only works if you recognize the discomfort for what it is. Progress. 6th, build in recovery. This is huge, and almost everyone gets this wrong. Sustainable change requires recovery. Research on habit formation shows that consistency is more important than intensity. It's better to do something small every day than something big that burns you out in a week. You need to design your change with sustainability in mind. That means not trying to change everything at once, building in rest and recovery, celebrating small wins, being kind to yourself when you slip up, and adjusting the plan when life happens instead of abandoning it completely. Think of it like exercise. You don't go to the gym and max out every single day. You'd injure yourself. You build in rest days. You progressively increase intensity. You listen to your body. The same principle applies to any kind of change. Your brain needs recovery time to consolidate new patterns. Pushing too hard, too fast, is a recipe for burnout and relapse. Here's what I've noticed after working with thousands of people trying to break their patterns of giving up. All these individual strategies help. The science is solid. The tactics work. But there's a gap. Most people need these techniques organized into a system, a complete framework that handles not just the surface-level habits, but the deeper beliefs, emotional patterns, and subconscious programming that keep staying, pulling them back. They need something that addresses the identity-level changes that make new behaviors automatic. The emotional regulation tools that help them push through discomfort, the accountability structures that catch them before they fall, the reward systems that their brain actually responds to, the community support that makes them feel less alone in this, the troubleshooting protocols for when things go wrong, and the progressive challenges that keep them engaged without overwhelming them. Most people try to piece this together themselves, pulling from different books, videos, courses, therapists, coaches. And there's nothing wrong with that approach, except for one thing: it rarely creates a cohesive system. you end up with a bunch of disconnected tools that you're not sure how to use together. It's like having a toolbox full of great tools, but no blueprint for what you're building. And this is exactly what Quantum Core was designed to do. Think of everything we just talked about: the neuroscience of habit formation, the identity shifts, the environmental design, the implementation intentions, the community support. The progressive challenge system Quantum Core takes all of it and packages it into a complete operating system for personal transformation. It's not just another course where you watch some videos and hope something sticks. It's not another motivational program that gets you pumped up for a week and then you're back where you started. It's not another app that you'll use for 3 days and forget about. It's the integration of cognitive psychology, neuroscience, behavioral design, and proven coaching methodologies into one coherent system that works with your brain instead of against it. Here's what makes Quantum Core different. First, it addresses change at multiple levels simultaneously. Most programs focus on behavior change. Quantum Core works on behavior, identity, belief systems, emotional patterns, and environmental design all at once, because lasting change requires transformation at all these levels. Second, it's designed around the reality of how your brain actually works, not how we wish it worked. It doesn't rely on motivation or willpower. It uses the principles of neuroplasticity, habit stacking, identity-based change, and environmental architecture to make transformation almost inevitable. Third, it provides the missing accountability and community piece. Research consistently shows that social support is one of the strongest predictors of behavior change success. Quantum Core connects you with others on the same journey, creating a community where consistency is the norm, not the exception. Fourth, it's adaptive. Your life isn't static, and your transformation system shouldn't be either. Quantum Core adjusts to where you are, what you need, and what challenges you're facing. It's not a rigid program. It's a flexible framework that evolves with you, because here's the truth: you don't need to learn one more technique. You don't need another motivational speech. You don't need to try harder or want it more. You need a framework that makes all the techniques work together, that catches you when you stumble, that builds the kind of transformation that actually sticks. You need a system that understands that you're going to have bad days, that life is going to throw curveballs, that motivation is going to fade, and has protocols in place for all of that. You need something that treats you like a human being with a complex brain and a complicated life, not like a robot that just needs the right programming. Let's talk about something uncomfortable for a minute. What does it cost you to stay where you are? I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about the real cost. The cost of lying in bed at night knowing you gave up on yourself again. The cost of avoiding mirrors because you don't like what you see. The cost of staying in situations that don't serve you because you don't believe you can sustain anything better. The cost of watching other people live the life you want while you stay stuck in the same patterns. The cost of losing respect for yourself, one broken promise at a time. The cost of that voice in your head that says, "See, I knew you couldn't do it," getting louder and more believable every time you prove it right. Research on regret shows that people don't regret the things they tried and failed at nearly as much as they regret the things they never tried at all. But there's another kind of regret that's even more painful, knowing you could have changed, but you kept choosing not to. Every day you don't address this pattern, you're making a choice. Not changing is a choice. Staying comfortable is a choice. Giving up is a choice. And the compound effect of those choices adds up to a life that feels like it's happening to you instead of a life you're actively creating. But here's the good news. The compound effect works in the other direction too. Every small choice to show up compounds. Every time you keep a promise to yourself compounds. Every piece of evidence that you're changing compounds. The gap between where you are and where you want to be can feel enormous. But that gap closes one decision at a time. And each decision gets easier as you build momentum and evidence that you're someone who follows through. So, here we are. You made it to the end. You didn't skip. And that right there? That's already evidence that you're capable of more than you think. You stayed engaged for this entire message when your pattern would have been to bail halfway through. That's different. Pay attention to that. The question isn't whether you can change. The science proves you can. Your brain is plastic. It can rewire itself at any age. The neural pathways you've built can be weakened while new ones are strengthened. The identity you've constructed can shift. The patterns you've been running can be interrupted and replaced. The question is, are you ready to stop practicing failure and start practicing follow-through? Because every time you hit play on a video and then skip it, you're training your brain to quit. Every time you set a goal and abandon it by Tuesday, you're reinforcing the identity of someone who doesn't finish what they start. Every time you choose the easy path in the moment, you're making the hard path more permanent. But every time you stick with something, even something small, even this video, you're building evidence of a different identity. Someone who shows up. Someone who follows through. Someone who doesn't give up on themselves. And here's what happens when you start building that evidence. It becomes easier. The neural pathways strengthen. The identity solidifies. The behaviors become more automatic. You start to trust yourself again. And that trust, that belief that you can actually count on yourself, that changes everything. Quantum Corey isn't magic. It's not going to do the work for you. It's not going to make change effortless or eliminate all discomfort. It's not going to wave a wand and make you a different person overnight. What it does is give you the complete system, the science-backed framework, the practical tools, the community support, the accountability structures, the troubleshooting protocols to finally become the person who doesn't need to keep starting over. It gives you the roadmap you've been missing, the blueprint for building the life you actually want, instead of just dreaming about it and hoping it somehow happens. Think about where you'll be in 6 months if you keep doing what you're doing now. Really think about it. Same patterns, same frustrations, same broken promises to yourself. Maybe you'll have tried and quit a few more things. Maybe you'll be a little more convinced that you're just not capable of sustained change. Now think about where you could be in 6 months if you had a system that actually worked. If you had tools that aligned with how your brain operates. If you had support when things got hard. If you had evidence piling up every single day that you're someone who follows through. The gap between those two futures? That's what we're really talking about here. The person you actually want to be is on the other side of you, not quitting. That version of yourself, the one who's consistent, who follows through, who doesn't give up when things get hard, they exist. They're not some fantasy. They're just on the other side of building different patterns. Are you ready to meet them? Not motivated to meet them. Not excited to meet them. Ready. Because ready means you understand this isn't going to be a straight line. Ready means you know there will be hard days and you're prepared for them. Ready means you're willing to do the work even when it's not fun. Ready means you're done with the cycle of starting and stopping, and you're committed to building something that lasts. The choice you make right now to take action or scroll past this, like everything else, that choice is going to show up in every area of your life. It's going to show up in your health, your relationships, your career, your finances, your confidence, your peace of mind. Because this isn't really about this one decision. It's about the pattern. It's about whether you're someone who takes action when opportunity presents itself, or someone who always finds a reason to wait. Choose differently this time. Not because it's easy. Not because you're certain it will work. But because staying where you are is no longer an option. Because you're tired of the cycle. because you know that if nothing changes, nothing changes. Quantum Core is your blueprint for becoming someone who doesn't quit. Not perfect, not superhuman, just someone who shows up consistently and builds the life they actually want instead of settling for the life that happens by default. The door is open. The system is ready. The community is waiting. What are you going to do?